Today I'm really excited to be talking to screenwriter Billy Ray. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great. It's really lovely to meet you. I really enjoyed reading your book. I struggled to put it down, to be honest. I read it in like about a week, and I'm a slow reader, so it was really lovely. Um, so I was wondering if you could start us off by introducing us to your book, Burn the Water.
Sure. Burn the Water is set in London about 400 years from now. It's a very different city than it is at the moment, in a very different world. It's 90% underwater, and it has lost communication with the rest of the globe. There's no power, there's no internet, there's no comms, there's nothing. And no one in London knows if the rest of the world even exists or not, because the rest of the world is has similarly been knocked out by 400 years of deluge and wars. In the city itself, 10% of the land is livable. It's called the Dry 10, and it's being fought over by these two rival gangs, these houses, the Rogues and the Crowns. And that war has been going on for 300 years. And it's been brutal. It's been savage. The greatest soldier in the Rogues is a captain named Rafe. And the greatest soldier for the Crowns is a captain named Jewel. And they're both, you know, sub 20, and they meet and they fall in love. And the book then examines what will become of that. What happens to them? What happens to the city? And more specifically, what's going to happen to Jewel? And how is she going to turn into the person that ultimately is going to have to unite not just London, but the entire country?
Yeah, that was a beautiful summary.
Thank you.
I I really loved I really enjoyed the book and I really loved all of the different references that I feel like you could pick up when you were reading it. Like I think there were some echoes towards the Hunger Games with like the actual point of survival and things like that, but also I really liked the whole through line of Romeo and Juliet and how you kind of subverted it in different ways. And I think Rafe and Jewel were really well written characters, especially like it's so hard to write really strong characters sometimes, especially like women characters. You really want to do them justice. So I was wondering how you approached writing both of them. I thought it was very interesting that you didn't use physical characteristics to describe them, because that meant you could literally just conjure up exactly who you wanted. So I was wondering, yeah, how did you start out with inspiration for both these main characters?
Well, this really started as a love letter from me to Shakespeare.
Hmm.
Uh, when you write for a living, one of the things that is a relief is that you never have to worry about trying to be the best at it, whoever lived,
Hmm.
because that position is taken. We're all fighting for second place,
Hmm.
and that is actually calming to me. But I've always loved Shakespeare and always loved Romeo and Juliet and wanted to find another way into it. And so I started to wonder what would Romeo and Juliet look like in the future? And everything came out of that.
Yeah.
Once that was set, I didn't want my Jewel to be modeled after Juliet.
Hmm.
I wanted my Jewel to be a warrior. And I wanted her to be the equal of Rafe, if not the better of Rafe, in so many ways. And I wanted them to see in each other things that they wanted to emulate. I wanted them to inspire each other to be more than they were. And that's where all the character stuff comes from. It's each recognizing in each other qualities that they themselves would like to have, and then trying to gain those qualities.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I really loved how you wrote the romance because there was a part of me that could really tell you were trying to appreciate the things I think we take for granted right now, like especially things like music. There was a really lovely several passages where that made me really want to re-listen to the songs that you referenced because I was like, I want to hear them with new ears now, like these characters are. It's really lovely. I on that topic, I really like that the book one of the book's messages is about appreciating what we have right now.
Yes.
So because it's set in a time where there's no electricity, there's like a whole mountain of phones that are just useless now, and nature has completely reclaimed the world. And emotions are kind of everything that all the characters have. So I was wondering, in this time of sort of division and distraction, was it really important for you to emphasize connection and humanity and how important they are in this book?
Yeah, I mean the title for me, Burn the Water, speaks to the idea of impossibility,
Hmm.
right? Like that's why I chose that title, because you can't burn water.
Yeah.
And everything that Rafe and Jewel is trying to do seems impossible.
Hmm.
The idea of uniting the rogues and the crowns, the idea of making this war end, that just seems impossible in the world that they're in. Much like to many people here in America, it seems impossible.
Mm.
But it is not impossible. It is actually the natural human state to come together
Mm.
and to help one another and to want community. It's very easy to lose sight of that if we play what out here we call identity politics, but that's a kind of unsophisticated term for this idea of um, a very devious kind of tribalism,
Mm.
uh, which I've seen now literally threaten to tear my country apart, although it's clearly going to fail. And the country is absolutely going to come back together. And it's really clear that that's starting to happen already.
Yeah.
Uh, but I wanted to take it to its extreme
Mm.
in 400 years and see what would happen if you reduced humankind to its essence. And these two 18-year-old kids were in charge of leading us to our best selves.
Yeah.
That was what the examination was for me.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. On that topic, and I think children are such a big aspect of this book. Like I, as much as I, love the romance elements, I think I can tell your side as a parent came through a lot because in these descriptions of the moments where the parents are separated from their children and all these children are seeing the casualties of war, you could tell that you were almost living that. I feel like when you were writing it, it felt very real to read it. And there is a very strong political element in this book, and war is the main through line. There were some lines that I actually really liked that I took note of. That there was one that said like loss was life in this camp. That's a beautiful line. And one that I think really resonates right now was a line that said all of this over the color of a piece of cloth, which I think is very real right now. So I was wondering why this was the right time to not just make this a love story, but also make this a story about war.
Well, when I would give drafts of the book to people, these are people who've been reading my writing as a screenwriter
Mm,
for nearly 40 years.
yeah.
So it's the first time I ever gave them a book. And what I would ask when they were finished, as I was going from draft to draft to draft,
Mm.
I would ask them the same three questions. Were you ever bored?
Mhm.
Were you ever lost? And those answers were always no, which was very, very heartening.
Yeah.
But the third was, did I get the balance right
Mm.
between romance, war, and politics?
Mhm.
Did any of those three things feel underserved? And when I finally started getting back the answers, no, there's enough of each. Then
Mm.
I knew it was ready to go out to publishers to try to find a home for it.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to describe a world in which there was love, war, and politics in equal measure,
Mm.
uh, and show how love winds up being the most powerful of the three.
Yeah.
Um, but in order to do that, you have to have a lot of war. And I did love writing those battle scenes. That was really, really fun. And you have to have a lot of politics about the way people use war and manipulate one another in order to try to gain power. If you throw enough at those
Mm.
and and thereby create a world that people in our world can recognize,
Yeah.
then I think you've got them. And then you can hit them with, but watch what love does.
Yeah.
The idea was take a glass of water.
Mhm.
That's put one drop of blue dye in it. That's love, and watch how the whole thing turns blue.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
I think yeah, that's so important right now. And yeah, no, I think in the times that we're living in, I think that will be very important for like teens to really get into their brains as like even if the world feels really contentious and full of hatred right now, even a tiny bit, like you said, of a positive example of love or happiness or peace is super important. So I was wondering what you want your adolescent readers to take away from this book the most.
Well, exactly that. Hope.
Yeah.
I want them to know that they have, this is an overused word, but they have agency. They
Mm,
can do more than they think.
yeah.
I've seen it. I mean, I do a lot of work in the political space for free,
Mm,
and I'm talking a lot about how we get younger voters in America engaged and how we inspire them
mm,
to go fight for the things that they really care about, like democracy,
yeah.
um, the environment, both of which are things that are central to the book. But I want them to see that this 18-year-old girl does all that.
Yeah.
And under the most horrific of circumstances, she and Rafe, they keep driving.
Mm,
And they become a force for good that changes the country.
yeah.
And I want kids to know that's possible.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I think that is one of the most important messages that you can send out right now is reminding young people that even if you look at the news and everything feels bleak and you feel like you have absolutely no power, it's a really important message to send out, to remind them that you actually do. And I think Rafe and Jules stand as really shining examples of that for sure. Um, Moving away from that a little bit,
Sure.
we've got to talk about the Hunger Games, I
Yes, we
think.
do, of course.
Yeah. So I know you've written the screenplay for the upcoming Hunger Games film Sunrise on the Reaping, and you wrote the original screenplay for the first film. I know you probably can't give us a lot of details, but I was wondering what the writing process is like. I'm a writer, so I would love to hear about it.
Okay. It was unlike any process I had ever had
Mm,
before because when I came aboard, the book was not yet published.
right. Okay.
This was July or August
Mm,
uh, of 24.
yeah.
Okay. So the book hadn't been published yet,
Mm,
and everybody was hysterical about security.
mm,
No one could know anything in that book.
mm.
So the first time I was allowed to read it, I went to the home of Suzanne Collins's manager,
Yeah.
which was just over the hill in Valley Village here in LA. And
Mm.
I literally sat on his living room couch with a printed copy of the book. And I sat there and I read it for 7 hours. And then I gave it back to him. Then I said, okay, I'm in, let's go. And then we started the conversations about what the book is about. And Suzanne, as you can imagine, cares deeply about the politics and the philosophy
Mm,
of the Hunger Games.
yeah.
So it was long, like hours long conversations about implicit submission and the importance of propaganda and the philosophy of Locke and Hume. And I mean, she's so well read and
Mm,
she feels it so deeply. And
yeah.
so there was a lot of that. And then at the end of that, I said to her, okay, Suzanne, on an emotional level, what's the book about for you?
Mm,
And she said, love and loss. I said, okay, that's what I'm going to go write.
yeah.
And the process of writing was also very different because of the security.
Mm.
They wouldn't allow me to write on a computer that was connected to the internet.
Wow.
So I
That's
could never have the book on my
yeah.
own computer. So every day I got up
Mm,
and I drove to 20th Century Fox, which is where the offices of Nina Jacobson are. She's the
mhm.
producer and has been since the beginning.
Yeah.
Would walk into this little tiny office, and an assistant would walk in with me and would open a safe on the floor
Yeah.
and pull out a laptop and open it for me and code me in,
Mhm.
and I would write. And then when I was done at 6 o'clock, I'd say, okay, she'd come in, close up the laptop, put it in the safe, lock
Mm,
it, and I would leave. And I would just come back the next morning. And that's how it went until the thing was written. There was never a point where I was just sort of rolling out of bed and,
mm.
oh, here's an idea, and emailing it to somebody. Like that just doesn't happen
No.
on a Hunger Games movie. And it was that way. until the book was published.
Wow.
Once the book was published, the security got a touch looser,
Hmm.
uh, but it never, ever was like a normal process on a
It,
movie,
did you
ever.
find that that restricted your creativity in any way? Because I can't imagine as a writer having to go to a specific place, do it for a set amount of time, and then leave it.
No, I've been very lucky in my career. So far, I can write anywhere.
Okay.
I can write on planes, trains, in the trunk of a car. I can write in hotels in Prague. I can, it just doesn't matter to me
Mm.
where I am. But what it forced me to do was, which you should do anyway as a writer, I just always had a notepad by the bed. And if
Hmm.
I woke up at 3 in the morning and there was an idea, instead of going downstairs and writing it, I would just make notes and
Right.
then bring it into Nina's office in the morning. it,
Mm.
it didn't restrict me in any way. And what it did was it just kept reminding me what a big deal this was, how
Yeah.
much it meant to the fans of
Mm.
the franchise, how much it meant to Suzanne. I kind of liked the rigidity of it.
Okay.
It made me feel more important.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, I think that's really impressive because I know a lot of writers, and as a writer myself, creativity is obviously the most important thing, but being in the right headspace and the right place to write is one of the most important things. So that's very
You know what?
impressive.
I'm from a very, very different generation than yours. And I don't believe in the headspace stuff. Just like I don't believe in writer's block. Um,
Yeah.
I if you think of yourself as an artist, it's really easy to get caught up in that and not be able to write.
Mm.
But if you think of yourself as a mechanic, and if you just think of it as work, don't think of it as art, think of it as work.
Mm.
And you're going into the garage every day and you're just opening the hood and making the engine run better, it takes a lot of pressure off of you.
Mm.
It makes you a little less precious, both with yourself and with your work.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, if you've treated it like work and not art, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I did my job today. And as the great writer Paddy Chayefsky would say, if you're an artist, it'll come out as art anyway.
Yeah.
So take that pressure off yourself and just get used to writing anyway.
That's
Uh,
yeah, that's
it's
very
because
helpful.
the truth is, Bella, your talent travels with you. Your
Mm.
talent doesn't only exist in one room or one time of day or with one kind of music on. Your talent is you, and you have to learn how to master it and think in terms of craft.
Yeah.
Craft you can do anywhere. Like if you were a mechanic, you wouldn't sit in Starbucks for 2 hours and wait for your muse to land on your shoulder to say, go fix those brakes,
Yeah.
right? You would just go fix the brakes. So just pretend you're a mechanic.
Yeah. That's really wonderful advice and definitely something that I would say I struggle with. Is that the main piece of advice you'd give to young writers, whether it's just writer who someone who wants to be a novel writer or a screenwriter? Is that the main piece of advice you'd have?
When I was 23, I was desperate to become a screenwriter, but I was working full time.
Mm.
And I was working for these two producers, and my job was, 10, 11 hours a day plus reading at night.
Mm.
So the only time I could write was on Sundays,
Yeah.
literally every Sunday and every Sunday night. Um, Something clicked in my head as I was staring at the wall, doing this. This was back when there were typewriters, to give you some context. And what clicked in my head was, I am not more talented than the people I'm competing with. So my only remedy is to outwork them. I just have to out hustle them. That's it.
Mm.
And I started on that day, on that path. And I work harder now at 62 than I did at 22. And I worked hard at
Mm.
22. Never let anybody out hustle you. Never let anybody outwork you, ever. Um, I I go into meetings with people that I've known for 30 years and pretend they're an audition. I literally pretend I've never met these people before, and it's a chance to make a first impression on them every time I talk to them. And that impression is, hey, I'm going to work really hard for you, and I'm going to be collegial, and I'm going to be open to notes, and I'm going to leave my ego outside the door, and I'm going to do 60 drafts if you need it. because that's what it takes.
Yeah.
You know, the great movie Amadeus, which I have as number 8 all time on my list,
Hmm.
that was a 46th draft. 46.
I
That
never knew
means
that.
5 times
Yeah.
Peter Schaffer, who had already won 2 Tonys by that point. Peter Schaffer said, "This is as good as I can get it." And 45 times someone said, "Peter, I have notes." Well, if it took Peter Schaffer 46 drafts, it's okay if it takes me 10 or 15 or 20. That's just how hard writing is.
Yeah.
And once you embrace that, it stops shocking you. And it just starts being the thing that is actually most gratifying about the work.
Yeah, no, I completely empathize with that. I think definitely being a young writer right now is it's much more difficult with social media and having to feel like you can compete with a million other people. But I think your mindset of just focus on the hustle and not other people is super, super important. And I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah, the online stuff is just going to create envy.
Mm,
And I forget there was some genius who said it. Comparison is the thief of joy.
yeah,
Somebody famous said that. I forget who it was. But all you get on the internet is comparison.
yeah,
And all you get is, oh, is that person handsomer, richer, thinner, whatever your fixation is. And the truth is, you can always find someone online who's better off, who
yeah,
does things more nimbly. And that'll just make you feel terrible. And at the end of the day, you're never going to be judged based on that. You're going to be judged based on your work. So
yeah.
just focus on that.
Yeah. That's super inspiring, and I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate that. And to bring it back to the Hunger Games for one more question,
Please.
I am from the generation who grew up reading the book, so this is very, very exciting. Again, I know you can probably tell us so little facts, but I was wondering what fans can expect from this film.
Well, weirdly, the whole thing's a musical this time.
Oh, really?
I'm kidding.
I was gonna say, you really had me for a second there. I was like, Hamish, a musical? I can't see it.
What you can expect um, is, I think, um, the best of the Hunger Games films so far. I love the story.
Mm,
I, you know, Francis Lawrence, you know how he directs. He's brilliant. He has cast it spectacularly. Um, I think it is about those things that Hunger Games fans seem to thirst for. No pun intended. And it delivers all of them.
okay.
So I'm really really excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be huge, and I already know so many people who are genuinely, yeah, super excited for Hamish's story to come to the big screen.
Better
Um,
buy your tickets now.
yeah,
It hits the theaters in November.
yeah. The hype is already starting now. It's gonna be crazy by November.
It is going to be insane by November, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. The first time I was ever offered the Hunger Games, the first one,
Yeah.
um, I had never heard of it.
Wow.
And and my agent called me and said, "Okay, do you want to do the Hunger Games?" And I literally walked into my living room. My daughter was 14, my son was 9. And I
Mm.
said, "What's the Hunger Games?" And they both went like literally like a forehead clap.
Yeah.
And I read the book. I said, "Oh, this is the greatest idea I've ever heard. This
Hmm.
is the darkest idea I've ever heard."
Yeah.
And it has been such a blessing in my life to be a part of this franchise, to have helped to launch it, and
Mm.
to now be telling this chapter of it. Um, it has been so great for me and to me, and really thrilled to help birth this one as well.
Yeah, no, it must be a huge, huge privilege. I was rewatching some of the scenes earlier to try and get a feel for it again, and yeah, no, they are such a important experience for a lot of teenagers and a lot of people like me in their early 20s who've grown up reading those books. So
And I hope that I've earned a little bit of loyalty with this fan base.
oh,
Uh,
you definitely have,
I
yeah.
hope so. And I hope they will investigate Burn the Water,
Yeah.
which goes on the stands March 3rd. You can pre-order it now. This means a lot to me.
Mm.
I've never done this before. It's my first published novel.
Yeah.
And my God, to be in the realm of the Hunger Games would be the dream of dreams.
Hmm.
And it will rise and fall with the fans of the Hunger Games. They will be the first audience, I think, that will sample this book.
Yeah.
And all I can say is thank you.
The book is absolutely worth the read, and I'm sure it will inspire a lot of younger teens and older teens because it really is a tale that is needed right now, I think, and a lot of people need to hear it. So yeah, no,
Thank you.
thank you so much for your time. It was
Thank you,
lovely talking.
Vala.
Thanks for watching, Super Friends. Check out more videos from across our YouTube channel right here. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share on all your favourite platforms. See you next time.